Hello guys, and welcome to the 8th Hearthstone Autumn Qualifier, and at the same time the last qualifier in this series. So today we have Lavik in the top bracket and Nemilosrni on the bottom. Lavik with his Druid, Priest and Rogue, where his Rogue got banned, and Nemilosrni with his Mage, Rogue and Warlock, where his Warlock got banned. And here we see an interesting choice, Quest Mage from Nemilosrni and a big Druid, as it seems, from Lavik.
That is correct. I'm not sure who has the edge in this matchup. I mean, the big Druid tends to kind of go fast at like turn 8, 9 or 10, but the mage has so much stall potential with all the freezes and everything, so he can stall that critical few turns, and I guess this game can turn out both ways, and let's hang out and see what happens.
I think it all depends on how fast the Druid ramps up. Here we see Lavik being on 8 mana already on turn 4. And Nemilosrni having some card draw, having his secrets drawn. Both players doing what they're supposed to do, but we see kind of a lack of freezes from Nemilosrni still, and he's gonna need them if he is to stop everything that's coming from
correct.
Lavik.
And we see that the turn 10 is the next turn for Lavik, and he will have a choice to play either Deathwing for pressure or Ultimate Infestation for cards, and we see Ultimate Infestation going right to the face. The face damage is the most important thing that Druid has to deal here in time. It's a race versus it's whether you can deal enough face damage in a given time, because this mage has no win condition from the board. He wins from the hand, so you don't need to address his board, and Lavik quickly realizing that goes to face. And we see freeze being played here.
And kind of an early Doomsayer, turn 6, but already turn 11 for the Druid.
And this is kind of menace for Druid. It is so hard to deal with this combo, like freeze plus Doomsayer. Not much that they can do actually. They have maybe 1 or 2 answers in the whole deck. Later on they can play like DK and swipe combination, and we see that Lavik managed to kill this Doomsayer. It's so important because now he can continue to pressure on, and Mage needs to defend.
And he doesn't need Wrath for anything else, really.
Yeah. It's a dead card in this matchup if you don't use it to kill the Doomsayer.
True.
Or to cycle cards.
Yeah. Lots of Kabbalist Tome, and I think he's really going to want to start using them. And here we see Ice Block, just a card that he can play. That is pretty safe. Going for Kabbalist Tome first is a good choice because it might give you an Ice Block that you can play rather than your own.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't follow. Was the both of Ice Blocks his?
Both of Ice Blocks are his, yes. Okay. Both of them that were in hand. Yeah. And here we're gonna see a freeze, most likely.
Yeah, first let's see what he can discover.
Yeah.
Freeze enemy is also nice. Also Breath of Sindragosa nice. Like both Freezing Potion and Breath of Sindragosa, good choices.
Yeah.
I guess Firelance Portal a bit clunky. And as I said, you don't need burn in this deck. You don't need board presence, just stalling mechanisms. So I guess Nemilosrni now thinks between these two options.
Yeah, maybe Breath of Sindragosa isn't that bad. It can potentially set up to Flame Strike or to do something like that. But Freezing Potion deals damage, deals the freeze effect directly to the minion that you pointed at or to the enemy's face. I mean, here we see the pick, the Freezing Potion, which is cheap, and it is really really flexible.
And we see a rope burning here. Quite a decision now, like whether he wants to just freeze one minion and save the board freeze, and he decides to do that. Also, we see an overdraw for a mage here. He might burn Archmage Antonidas, and if that happens, the game is pretty much over for Mage. We see that he played that Kabbalist Tome when the rope was burning. He might didn't count the card correctly. So now he will burn one card, and we are yet to see which that card will be.
Yeah, and it will be kind of bad for Nemesis. Yeah, I mean, Glyph can draw you some spells, but still he had 2 Kabbalist Tomes, so he will definitely go for his already quest 5 out of 6 already.
That's good, and we have a spectator's bug, like we cannot check the secrets.
One of them is Potion of Polymorph.
Yeah, and one other is Ice Block. So Lavek can indeed proc the Ice Block, which is huge in this turn. But if this was an Ice Barrier, for example, he wouldn't be able to do so, and that will buy much more needed time to Mage. But we see that Mage managed to discover one more Ice Block, and with it, he can actually do the quest. And stall some more, so that's also a thing to consider.
Yeah, true, and we'll see how well the Mage actually deals with the board. Mage sometimes has some fantastic ways of freezing the board, and we here see some mechanisms, but there is no apparent way to freeze the face. So he knows that he's getting proc next turn no matter what with the Malfurion hero power. And yeah, a really evident proc.
Yeah, also he needs to find a lot of cards, I must say. He needs to find Archmage Antonidas, he needs to find a way to clone the Sorcerer Apprentice into like 2 more. So he's missing 3 pieces of combo. Yeah, he did a quest. Also, I would do it other way around, because he could have done it with an Ice Block, and he played an Ice Block of his own. Maybe he wants to like conceal that he has a third Ice Block.
But it is his. Oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
he played two.
Yeah, he played his. He didn't discover the new one, and I like this proccing just on one, so that even Swipe can kill it. And Lavek already on 56 health, but it doesn't matter a lot. Like if the Mage managed to do his stuff, he will do it. Also, the last copy of Ice Block.
Yeah, the only problem is what happens if the Mage doesn't have time to throw that many fireballs.
And now he recognized that he has to deal with this board. He has to address it, and because he is getting procced this way or another, and this way he can find a way to freeze the face, and that way like prolong the proc for one more turn. But we see that Lavek has that ultimate infestation that can really punch even through the freeze and everything.
Yeah, and we see him kind of trying to empty the hands so the Lich King can be played, but Potion of Polymorph is here, but I don't think it matters really that much.
Yeah. And he recognized that he needs to go now.
Yeah.
With or without enough Sorcerer Apprentice, he needs to start burning cards. I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, he wants to probably take out the dragons and freeze them and see what's gonna happen next turn. But
that's it.
Unless he has something to play from Glacial Mysteries, like freeze or something like that. Yeah, it's a quick GG. Yeah.
Quick GG and 1-0 for Lavek.
Yeah. Nice game.
Yeah, let's quickly update the score. And don't go anywhere. We are starting next match.
Yeah. So Lavek getting a win with his Druid. What's left is for him to get a win with his Priest. We still don't know if he's playing the Big Priest or the Kazakus Priest, but nevertheless he has to find a way with either Mage or Rogue through
double
the Priest.
Greater Healing Potion. I guess we are seeing a Big Priest.
Big Priest. Yeah. Today Lavek is going with the big decks.
Yeah. Go big or go home.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we are seeing here. And again, the Mage. Priests are having a little bit more mechanisms to deal with the Doomsayers, I would say. So in that way, it's like a bit more favorable.
Yeah.
But also priests cannot ramp, so they cannot access the high costs, like the strong minions.
Yeah.
Early on, they are like more value based than the druids.
And if the mage has it, they will have it. It all depends here on the card draw from mage.
Basically, they're both playing versus Nemelucerny's deck, not
Yeah.
anything else. If we assume that they're piloting the deck to the best of the deck's ability.
That is true. Nemelucerny has the freezes, Lavik has the big minions, but none of that really matters if Nemelucerny really draws the combo. And here we see Oracle, also a minion that can be used pretty usefully versus Priest in a way that when the Priest has 8 cards or even more, you can use the opportunity to potentially burn some of the cards. Priests, especially big priests, are known for summoning minions without actually having to play them with their spells. So a lot of cards get clogged up in hand, and if they don't spend their cards, they might get their valuable spells burned. And we saw 2 greater healing potions. Not very useful here, but still.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the mage will get into a situation where he needs, or she needs, like Jaina, or he, like Nemelucerny, needs to play Archmage Antonidas proactively somehow and try to burn it like in a course of 2 or 3 turns, and then we will see that greater healing potions really shine.
Arcane Intellect, so good here.
So good, like the more cycle you can get in the early game, the better.
And there's another glyph that can be played this turn.
That's true. The quest is also like halfway done already.
Yeah, the Kabbalist Tome will cost 3 if he decides to take it. That is really, really cheap. And Nemelucerny here collecting both the combo pieces and the quest pieces. I'm not sure if this priest doesn't start developing some big minions really soon. I think this mage will find some.
Also, Archmage Antonidas already in hand. The only danger for him is now a Dirty Rat, which we might see in a big priest. Some lists are running it, some are not. But other than that, it's like smooth sailing for a mage.
That is true.
And we see a mage debating whether he wants to play Cold Light or not. If he does, he will certainly overdraw some cards, so he decides to kind of pass the turn and just pink face.
Yeah, I mean, so far we kind of see a full hand, but a handful of all kinds of stuff. And Priest still not getting to the point where they're developing those big minions. We see a freeze, but I think it's just kind of a throwaway. So the priest doesn't develop any more stuff, and also to kind of empty the hand, so the Kabbalist Tome can actually be played. I mean, mage is still missing quite a few turns until they have assembled all the combo pieces and until they do the quest. We see a Sarah in hand, not something very useful, and Lavik here taking the opportunity to just play Anduin, knowing that he's not going to get a better value, and playing it on an empty board is kind of okay versus the quest mage.
Yeah. Now he needs to. It's kind of a bad spot because he wants to play hero powers just to burst the damage down, but he finally got to the turns where he can play the Ysera, the Lich King, the big guys, and he wants to utilize that monsters as fast as possible. So he will not play. He will not play his hero power that much next few turns.
And Nemelucerny kind of in trouble here because he's on 10 cards at the moment, which means that next card that he draws, he has to be able to play. He can't play Cold Light Oracle or the minions that copy, and this is gonna be a card burn.
Yeah, or he can always freeze the board, like empty board.
Yeah, if he wants to also, but I think he wants to keep it in case Yashar and all the big minions are here. It's kind of a valuable cheap freeze. Now we're gonna see the card being burnt, and hopefully he doesn't burn anything that he needs.
But I like his choice here. He chose to make a copy of a Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah.
Even if he burns one, it's still okay. The Exodia combo is still doable. and like that was the worst case scenario, and it happened. But any other way will benefit him more because he doesn't need anything else from his deck. Just one more copy of Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah.
And he had like 11 cards, so it's like calculated risk, and it didn't pay off this time, but most of the time it will pay off.
Also burning yet another card, but he managed to do the quest, and we see the combo pieces already assembled in the deck. So,
What is Loic doing?
Well, healing the Lich King in the process, and and summoning another minion. It was a bit awkward.
Yeah, he said
like,
that to air is human. So,
yeah.
Do you agree with like contesting even the board with a priest? I'm not sure. Like
I don't really know.
I would rather go for face, but maybe he knows something that we don't, and.
It's just that the fact is Lavik doesn't have Raza, and if you don't have Raza, you're not gonna have enough cards to actually burst your opponent. It's a very limited amount of pings, and if you really want to win, you're gonna have to go for that.
I have idea. Like maybe he wants Lich King to live long enough so he can give him a death grip, and by that he can pull out the combo piece from the mage deck, which is like a really solid plan.
Yeah.
And that's why he did like try to save his Lich King and also kill everything that can contest him on board.
Yeah. Here we see some spells being burned, and the problem is Priest is gonna have to empty the hand if he wants to get the spell from the Lich King, and yeah, he's gonna have to be careful about second
with the
oracles.
Cards like Lich King or Ysera that are giving you the cards at the end of your turn. You need to stay at 8 card if you have one of them on board, or even at 7 if you have both of them.
Nemlosony here recognizing the win, saying well played, which means that regardless of how many cards he burns, the combo pieces are in hand, and he's gonna be able to assemble it all. He has 3 of the apprentices. He's just waiting for basically for one of his Molten Reflections. I actually think one of them was copied, and the other copy of Molten Reflection was burned. But this is an almost 100% win if Lavik doesn't find a way to proc him now straight away.
And even with that, he has one more ice block in hand, and he can play like quest and ice block and like stall for one more turn. Also, we see a choice here, pin-sized potion being picked, just for the sake of like being able to play it as soon as possible and get one more ping. Also, Death and Decay deals 3 damage. He wants to like spend as many cards as he can because he's recognizing that the Lich King will give him a card, and also that the mage has ability to overdraw him with Cold Light Oracle, and
yeah, that is true, and still kind of waiting for that Molten Reflection, and now being in a bit of a danger from both overdrawing and burning the Molten Reflection, and actually getting procced very soon. There's still an ice block in hand, so there's still time to do that. Also, there is the Oracle that will help draw into that Molten Reflection and burn some of the priest cards.
He's at risk now. If he draws a card and doesn't draw the exact thing he needs, he will overdraw. Also, there is a risk of fatigue damage that might come in play now, because simply the fatigue damage can kill you through the ice block, and that's one of the rare things that can actually hurt you through the ice block. But Lavik needs to find a way to deal that 1 damage, and that's gonna be really hard now.
It's gonna be hard. He has some damage output, but it's not a 1 damage spell, and he's gonna have to implement, if he wants to hurry, of course, he's gonna have to implement the Oracles or Arcane Intellect. The problem is he does have 5 cards in deck, and if he doesn't draw that Molten Reflection, he might even lose this game, even though it seemed like a win at start. I think that burning of that copying spell really cost him.
Yeah, and he decides to go with the quest and see what happens. Like, he knows that he has okay, he draw one more, and there is another Molten Reflection. Everything is over. The mage wins if he manages to utilize everything correctly.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the Exodia.
And Lavik recognizing it and actually conceding.
Yeah.
Tie up, and we're yet to see another game of, if I'm not mistaken, Rogue versus the Priest. So Rogue, I'm assuming Temper Rogue, versus the Lavik's Big Priest. Yeah.
I'm already enjoying, like, even if it's a best of 3. I usually don't get like enough time to get involved into the match and everything, but now I'm really enjoying this game, and everything is like so tense, and it shifts from like one side to another. It's always like really close, one card here and there.
That is true.
And it's kind of always like that when you play versus quest mage or with quest mage. It's stressful for you and your opponent.
Also, I want to bring up a very important thing. I'm seeing some comments about the finale, the ESL finale. I just want to make a quick reminder that the finale has been moved from 26th of November to 3rd December at 8 o'clock. The reason is the new tournament being organized by Clan Brewer, which highly influences our tournament in a way that a lot of our finalists got qualified to both of the tournaments, and we want everyone to have an opportunity to play in both tournaments. So we're gonna make an exception and make sure that everybody can play.
Yeah, since from some time on, we will be in the same like ESL group and everything.
Yeah.
So we want to allow like our players to participate in all events that are like for this region.
That is true. So the information is from today, so it wasn't changed earlier. We are announcing it as soon as it happened, so I hope you can organize all your affairs until December the 3rd, whoever got qualified. Yeah. On the other hand, here we see a matchup between, as we said, Tempo Rogue and the Big Priest. Sometimes even Tempo Rogue having the upper hand here with all the aggressive minions if Lavik doesn't deal with it.
Also, Lavik needs to find Barnes. That's like one of the most important things, and also he needs to be a bit lucky and manage to discover like statue or something, because that's the most important minion in this matchup by far, I would say.
That is true. And here we see Nemelucidni really being Nemelucidni, in Ruthless.
Yeah, he's pushing that damage. He's recognizing the opportunity to close this game before it even starts, and 12 health at turn 4.
Yeah, not a lot. And there's a 6-2 Kelisat that doesn't fall into Pin Size plus Shadow Word Horror. So it's kind of a lot of damage.
Yeah, and Lavik being forced to play a healing potion and also to pray for a Dragonfire.
Yeah, but now this dragon is gonna put a stop to that Dragonfire nonsense.
Yeah.
So we see we see quite a board here, and
that's it.
Unless
he can find some answer, but
he can actually find a Circle of Healing. We see here that Lavik picked up Embrace the Shadow. So Embrace the Shadow plus Circle of Healing, sorry, actually deals with most of the board. But here we see Lavik losing 2-3 to Nemelucidni. Yeah, fast game.
What a turnaround also, and congratulations to Nemelucidni on entering the finals, and also for qualifying for our final event.
Yeah. So we will get another of our finalists very soon. Stay tuned. We will see who Nemelucidni is going to be facing in the finals. Yeah. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in a few minutes as always.
See ya.
Hi guys, and welcome back. Here we have our finals match with Nemelosydny in the top bracket that you've already seen, and Shubi in the lower bracket. We're playing a best of 5 as always in the finals. Nemelosydny with Warlock, Priest, Warrior, and Rogue, and his Priest got banned. And Shubi with his Shaman, Rogue, Warlock, and Priest, with a ban on Rogue.
We already see a friendly BM on the Prince being played on turn 2. But this is not the worst case scenario that can happen to you.
Yeah.
Like, rogues can have triple Prince on turn 2.
Yeah, I guess 1 is just about enough to be competitive versus a Warlock. I mean, here we see a standard game that you guys have mostly experienced on ladder, either from the Rogue side or from the Zeus side. A tempo mirror where Prince has a pretty dominant role.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Also, if both decks draw average, I think the Zoo has a slight advantage, just because he can refill the hand and get that much needed steam to preserve the dominance on the board, and by that win the game. And they are both like really aggressive. They have really strong tempo plays and swings and everything, so they can compete versus each other. Of course, the matchups can go both ways. Both decks are like really strong and can close the game after like one weak turn from your opponent.
Yeah. Nemelos, should be recognizing that this version of Rogue does not run any type of on-board clear, which means that he is pretty free to go wide, and the wider he goes, the more chances there are for him to contest the Prince board.
Yeah, we see Tara Lurker being picked up from the Swashbuckler, which is quite okay card. Also Doomguard, definitely a tempo swing. But it's a double-edged sword, I would say, because Rogue struggles with endgame resources, and if he plays the Doomguard on turn 5, that will for sure give him crazy tempo. But after that, I don't know if he will be able to survive for much longer.
Yeah. Here, if Shubi was to have a Doomguard, that would be about the best thing that can happen to him. Here we see probably that and the SI agent just trying to kind of take care of that board, and leaving a minion as well that Shubi needs to take care of. And as we said, a Doomguard would be really nice here.
Yeah. Also, decides to preserve the SI.
And I actually agree with that, because he already has 2 minions that he can play on turn 5. But what if he top decks Wildspine and he needs it in the following turns? He wants to have something cheap to trigger it. Very smart play.
And we see a whoopsie emote on Patches being drawn, because he just planned to play the captain and draw the Patches out from his deck, but Patches come here, so he denied 1 card draw and then he denied a tap. So basically this Patches is like 2 lost cards.
And ouch, a Tara Lurker is just there with its 7 health, just stopping this Warlock from progressing. Oof. We're gonna see probably a lot of trading here, and most likely the whole hand being played except for the Bone Mare.
That is true. Probably the Darkshire Consummon first.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we see a possibility to trade in with 3 minions.
Yeah, and preserve the Malchezaar's Imp if he wants to.
Definitely. I'm not sure about the buff.
Yeah, I think he's gonna want to buff the minions to trade into the Lurker now.
And it's important to attack with the Patches first.
It is. It's just. It feels so bad. Oh,
he decides to give 1 more minion. What a misplay.
Oh, I guess he wasn't counting on
the damage reduction after Captain is being destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes nervousness can get to you, but these kinds of things can really cost you when you play it.
Every minion counts, and he discards a 2
And basically him
Bone
trading,
Mare's
a lot of minions basically means that Bone Mare will have nothing to land on because this rogue had nothing to remove the 4th minion with. So that just cost him a Bone Mare.
Yeah.
And having the Battle Cry landed on a minion.
That is true. So it's already like 5-5 downside to the board. And combined with the unlucky patches draw, that's something that really puts odds into the favor of Rogue or Nemilosrdny.
Yeah.
But he also discarded a double Bone Mare, and he will need that steam for later on.
Yes, that is true.
Do we saw patches from deck?
Yeah, we saw patches at the beginning of the game, and here we see possibly Soulfire on the S side, but most likely Arcus Veteran and the Bone Mare, since he's really gonna want to protect his face.
Not much can save him actually here.
Yeah, Bloodsail Corsair doesn't really do much. It only provides +1 health buff on the Corsair minion, but Rogue is gonna have an infinite. Oh!
Shadow Step on
Doomguard
This will
is so strong.
seal the deal.
Well, not.
It's exact lethal.
Yeah, actually, it is.
Why didn't he attack first with Doomguard? He missed lethal.
He did. That's confusing. Okay, well, both players, I guess, being a bit nervous.
Playing today, yeah. But yeah.
And he decides to trade. No need to. There was lethal on board anyway, but I guess.
It was lethal with the dagger.
Well, now there is a chance for the Soulfire to remove that Doomguard, and Rogue doesn't seem to have lethal anymore. So I think this is turning into a top deck game.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna see a tap because of just so much on the line.
Yeah, he considered it, but.
Yeah, this is gonna be an exact lethal. Both players playing kind of funky, but Rogue in the end with the damage buff, finally finding a way to win the game.
But he could have done that one turn earlier.
Yeah, and drawing South Sea really helped him out to close this game.
The game decided to pardon his mistakes this time.
That is true.
Will it be like that next? And let's just quickly update the score. It's 1-0 for Nemilosrdny.
And Nemilosrdny still having his own Warlock and his Warrior in his lineup, and Shubi with his Shaman, with his Warlock, and with his Priest. We are yet to see what he's gonna be playing. So yes, his Warlock still on a mission to find a win. Yeah, we're just kind of waiting for our players to pick up their decks and decide what they're gonna play against. Well, not what they're gonna play against, but what they're gonna play with. And here we see quite an unusual matchup for this meta. We see Priest versus Warrior
and Quest Warrior.
Quest Warrior, and this seems to be a big priest. Wow,
that's it. I'm
quite
not
interesting.
Much experienced in this matchup.
I played quite a bit of this matchup at the very beginning of the meta, and from what I discovered, Ragnar's hero power can deal actually quite a lot of damage to the priest's minions and to its face with 8 damage per turn.
And with a lot of control tools like Execute and Dirty Rats and Brawls and everything, he can deal with that huge threats that Priest can put on and on again, like the statues, the Lich Kings, the Alexstrasza, and all the monstrosities.
Yeah. I mean,
Dark Reaper being played for now. Like the first few turns are just playing till you get to higher mana count, higher gears.
And here we see Shubi's hand being pretty anti-aggro oriented.
Important pull for Shubi now, and he gets a Lich King, which is really great because then he can revive it and do that for 4 mana.
Yeah, quite valuable. And also pin-sized potion that could allow for removing like a lot of taunts that Nebulosrni will have on board that have up to 5 attacks, so not useless at all.
We also see Shubi caught by surprise a little bit because he was calculating on facing a pirate warrior, and he kept the pin-sized potion and he mulliganed away the Eternal Servitude, which will be a great card now, but you always need to be ready for like pirate, because he will kill you in few turns, and if it happens that you're playing versus control, then you have some more time to get to the cards you really need. So it's correct mulligan, but it's a fortunate situation for Nebulosrni. Like, he played a card of surprise and it worked out. Of course, players don't know each other's decks, so that's what happens.
Yeah, that's true. He can easily go for obliterate and just heal up the barns and just, you know,
chip in some damage,
remove that armor. In the end, he's gonna have to find a way to remove that armor. He does have Shadow Reaper Anduin in deck, but not a lot of burst potential regarding his deck, since he's not gonna be able to afford himself the free hero power from Raza.
Well, not a lot of burst potential comparing to like Raza Priest, but also a considerable amount of burn damage, especially because Warrior, when he plays quest, he doesn't have armor up anymore, so it might be just enough, maybe not, we will see. It depends on the next few draws. He really needs to find something to play now.
I think it's too early to speculate, but we see Shubi kind of struggling with his awkward handful of spells and no minions to play, while Nebulosrni is progressing with card draw, drawing those taunts, and just having a lot of stuff to do while Shubi is not playing.
And we see that the quest is already 3 out of 7, and by the turn 10 he should be able to complete the quest and play it on turn 11, because from now on he will play at least one taunt per turn if not pressured and forced to do otherwise. We see Shubi drawing all the spells he can possibly find, and an interesting choice here, an interesting line taken. He values the time and he wants to kind of finish the quest as soon as possible and start throwing that fireballs at his opponent's face.
Dragonfire will be quite useful. Maybe he's considering even Mass Dispel to not allow the Death Rattle, but there's also the Silence if he wants to go for Dragonfire, but I don't see Dragonfire being quite useful. Maybe Pin Size plus Shadow Word Horror will just solve the whole board and allow the Death Rattle to get procced.
I would go with Silence first, but that was just an option.
Yeah, but now if he silences, then it's a bit too late.
Yeah, the order is wrong. Ooh. And he thinks about silence, which might indicate another misplay or like in order miscalculation, giving a warrior another strong taunt, like really strong taunt.
Yeah.
And I don't see any better uses for the silence versus this matchup. Also, we see an Nebulosrni thinking about playing a Dirty Red now and trying to finish up the quest. Of course, he hits first with the weapon, just not to damage his taunts, and decides to go a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Because next turn he can play a taunt and armor up and weapon and do a hero power again. Everything adds up on turn 10.
Obsidian statue really nice because it can deal with Primordial, considering that Nebulosrni won't have any minions that he's gonna sacrifice to that Obsidian once it dies.
And I think we'll see Public Defender here. Yeah, I will go with it because it's like a low value target, and I also might go with Dirty Red. Just to give my...
We might even see a quest here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But like quest and the Dirty Red, because I want to give my Drake the best chances to survive this impact from statue.
Yeah, and also he's gonna realize that Shubi has no minions in hand.
It's a valuable info.
Yeah, it is.
And he decides to go like first to deal with the statue. So he just like overheals and then start chipping in some real damage.
And this is quite good because both of the minions, well, good for Nemilosrni since both of the minions are protected from Dragonfire, so not even Silence helps, and Anduin doesn't help either.
Yeah. Well, I guess must dispel for cycle.
Yeah, but such an awkward hand. I don't know. Do you think he would even consider playing Anduin and just pinging the dragon and hoping that that next turn the dragon would die?
Well, I don't know. Since he decided to give his opponent taunt with 6 damage, and that is one of the 2 cards. The other is the same taunt that we'll get. That has 5 or more cards. I think he should keep the Anduin because he chose that line of play. And we see that he
doesn't consider it. He really values his life total since the warrior has played the quest and decides to keep the Anduin. So a very slow turn from Shubi healing up.
I'm not still sure why does he keeps Must Dispel in hand. It's a good cycle. Maybe like slowing down the
maybe Mountain Fire Armor or something like that. He still doesn't know what he needs to play around, and he doesn't want to give the warrior the opportunity. But here we see him at 8 health, which is quite dangerous versus the quest warrior.
Can you allow your opponent, like, can you allow yourself that luxury to not play the cycle card on board already lost, and on a hero power like that will like easily chip the enough damage?
I think we're gonna see Dragonfire plus Greater Healing Potion. Not a lot of other things save him right now.
And that's just enough for another like hero power and hit from the dragon. Yeah. And that also consumes the whole mana.
Yeah, Quest Warrior being quite strong here, and as we said at the beginning, I don't know about Anduin though.
Yeah, it's lethal if he does that.
Yeah. I think he's gonna have to, if he wants to survive, that's gonna have to be Dragonfire plus Greater Healing Potion to stay safe in the next turn.
It's about the only thing that keeps him from dying.
Yeah.
But it's not safe at any means.
Yeah, not safe. 8 damage per turn is so dangerous. It's like having a Ragnaros. You just can't clear from the board, and it just deals damage over and over again. And especially with the fact that Nemilosrni discovered that Shubi had no minions in hand, so maybe the situation hasn't changed. He knows about all the cards that aren't minions, if he's been following the cards.
We see him spending the last activator for execute if he wants to play hero power in the same turn with it. Of course he can like do a dragon and execute if he wants to clear the board, or he just wants to put up enough pressure so he can close the matchup quickly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what do you think? Do you like keep a ghoul just for the execute because you know that you're facing a big priest?
I don't think so. I think with the 8 damage hero power, he can just easily clear the Obsidian statues, most of the minions, Lich King even, that can come out of like Baron's Eternal Servitude and stuff. So I think he's gonna. Oh, well played. Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't think of some miraculous way to get out of this, this is gonna be lethal, and I don't see a way.
See how hard for Priest is to remove a dragon with the 4 attack. It's next to impossible. You need to have quite a I don't know, a lot of comboing included. He had a way to survive this, but he chose to draw a card and draw something better from the deck. I'm not sure what he was aiming for, because he had enough mana to just ping.
Yeah,
go hero power and ping, and this is
gonna be a GG.
lethal.
So GG to Nemilosrni, and he got his win with Warrior, and the only win that's left is for him to get a win with Warlock. Will we see a sweep in these finals, or are we gonna see another turnaround?
Yeah, not the strangest thing that can happen.
Yeah, Destiny is on Shubi's side because he is destined to continue the tradition of the people who played in finals and turned the tables.
Will he do that? Can he do that? We still saw like well, smaller to mid-size misplays in both of his games. If he managed to clear his head and play these matches through from now on, I guess we will see more fight, because the decks are pretty close matched, and small things like that matters.
Yeah,
and
true.
We see a Warlock with kind of heavy hand.
I don't know, maybe it's just destiny wanting to turn the tables, but we see here mulliganing everything away and getting a lot of small minions to play, which is also the case for Shubi.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're yet to see.
No prince being pulled,
Yeah.
and as some of the players said, like the pro players, the prince influenced the game that much that if you draw it in a mirror and other person doesn't have it in time, you most likely win.
Yeah.
Just on the back of that
It's
one
like
card.
80 to 20.
Yeah. You need to have crazy tempo and like board presence already established, and since the prince is on turn 2 or turn 1 if you go second, your opponent doesn't have that many time to establish that board and presence and tempo and everything. Although like turn 2, playing a 2/2 is a weak turn.
Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna see a Soulfire here. Is he gonna risk discarding his Saronite Chain Gang, which is a really strong minion in Zoomer? It requires a lot of trading, and yeah, he's willing to give up his veteran, and not playing around Mortal Coil either. I guess he's just counting on the fact that that Nemlosony does not have it.
Yeah. Also, the Warlock doesn't have a real way to buff these minions, other than veteran.
Yeah, maybe in some cases like Direwolf Alpha, but there
Argus
aren't many
Defender,
versions.
but like really rarely.
Yeah, not many versions that do run those minions. I guess we're yet to see. So far, I think they're pretty equal on board. It's just the fact that Shubi's hand has been a bit awkward. Maybe Saronite Chain Gang manages to kind of pull him through. I don't really know why he, for example, is not using the Soulfire or even tapping for more cards.
I would tap here definitely, because
Yeah, me too.
Soulfire is considered one of the top value cards for the first 5 turns. Because it can, for 1 mana, you can deny your opponents like turn 3 or turn 4 easily, and he has 2 of them in hand, so he just needs some crappy cards. So tap, get a crappy card, and hope to discard it, just to preserve a Saronite Chain Gang. Also, I guess he's trying to play the Saronite Chain Gang first, and then kind of play the Soulfire later.
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
With Malchezaar's Imp, he might be able to even draw more cards if he discards the Saronite.
Yeah.
He decides not to go for Saronite though. Ooh, or changing the mind. Yeah, maybe.
I like this play more, because next turn he can play.
But he had a potential for full board clear there with potentially 2 Soulfires and drawing cards.
Potentially drawing a Doomguard even. But that's just the potential, and this is a safer line of play. I like it. I like it more because next turn you can set up a Malchezaar Imp, and you can, I don't know, see what your opponent will do, because for now they're just playing a defense, both of them.
Yeah.
And you can see like whether he will go to buff, or he will go like wide with small demons, or he will play Malchezaar Imp to set up for Doomguard, or he will play a Pirate Pack or whatever. So you can react to that, and if you spend all your reactive spells to just the 2/3 Chain Gang, then whatever your opponent set up for you is kind of hard to respond. Of course, you will have 2 1/2s on board and the Malchezaar Imp.
I think we're gonna see some card drawing here.
Yeah, and nice discard.
Perfect, yeah, for him.
Also strong card. Not sure if he wants to see it now because it's only turn 4.
I think he wants to cycle anyway, but I don't think he's gonna want to risk discarding it in case he gets a Doomguard. Bloodseal Curser, not a very useful card in this matchup.
I don't see a reason to play this card.
Maybe Malchezaar into Soulfire would be the best thing here, because that one is
can potentially cycle it.
Yeah, maybe he just wants to pull the patches out, so Malchezaar draws something else, and he will deal with discarding 1 Soulfire and kind of playing for the board.
It's strange, like valuing patches more than a Soulfire for me, plus potential card draw. But okay.
And also we see Mortal Coil. Well, quite a nice tech in some versions of the Warlock. Here, I'm not sure about this play. He's been playing into Despicable Dreadlord a bit too much with leaving those 1/1s.
Yeah,
on
fortunately
board.
his opponent doesn't have
Yeah.
a way to punish it. But we see a captain and a patches.
Yeah, I mean, Nemilosrni, as we got a question in chat, Nemilosrni had his Warlock, his Priest, his Warrior, and his Rogue, and this is Nemilosrni's last deck. So the only win that he needs to get is with his Warlock and his Priest got banned.
Still uncertain of what's going to happen next, because both players have ins and outs. Depends on, like, they're heavily depending on top decks now.
Yeah. I mean, Warlocks are kings of top decks, especially when they're playing in a mirror.
Yeah, because they have 2 of them each turn.
And here, Nemilosrni having a much stronger hand than Shubi. Shubi having those 1/1s that fall into Despicable Dreadlord if his opponent manages to draw them.
Yeah.
And here we will see. Prince
a
gonna be
bit
late
late
for the party. Yeah. I think we're gonna see Despicable and some attempts of efficient trading into a few of the minions and trying to settle for.
I mean, he can just like cross trade and play.
He can even play he can trade his councilman into the 5/4 when he plays Despicable.
But then he loses the councilman.
He does, but then he leaves only the 4/3 on board, and he has the Despicable and the 1/2 on board as well.
Of course, we know that the Bonemer will land on everything that survives.
Yeah, and will crush that Despicable. He's thinking about making a valuable trade on the Imp, probably.
Yeah, I would definitely go for that, because Nemilosrni had a chance to punish him with Despicable Dreadlord, and he showed us that he doesn't have one, and showed his opponent. I mean, he doesn't have to show us, we see his whole hand. So with that sort of really interesting line of trade here.
That's quite interesting. So he decides to leave the captain. Unfortunately, that captain is gonna find a way to get buffed and just valuably trade that Despicable, and now he's gonna need another one to deal with that captain, unless he draws into another Mortal Coil. Since he does have that available.
Usually Warlock steps first, but this is like the exception of rules. You first want to play Prince, so your next minion gets buffed.
Yeah, such a strong board from Nemilosrni. And that's gonna be 16 damage on board next turn if he decides to play Bone Marrow again. Nemilosrni probably not caring about his health too much anymore. There is a Blood Reaver Gul'dan in hand, ready to call for those Doom Guards.
We didn't saw any Doom Guards yet, right? In this game?
Yeah, we actually didn't. Yeah, the one that was the one that happened was in the last game.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, true. No Doom Guards.
Yeah, so we will see a bit slower Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
Yeah, but still not too late.
Yeah, and both players has it, so
and we're gonna see those 16 damage going straight to face and ignoring the possibility of Bone Marrow, because this is gonna be a lethal whatever he does. And here we see a Nemzi friendly saying well played. But yeah, unfortunately for Shubi, that is not gonna be enough. A very clear lethal present on board from Nemilosrni, and he kind of broke the tradition of basically not turning these games around.
I don't know, like the moment where he had the double Soulfire and he decided to discard one just to have a Patches on board. I think that's the turn where he gave up a little bit of tempo to his opponent. And as we said, these decks are all like tier 1 top decks, and little things matter, and then they start piling up on top of each other. So congratulations to both players for qualifying for the final event, and also a special thanks to Namila Sydney on trio.
And yeah, thanks guys for participating, for watching. It's been an amazing series, and we are yet to see our grand finale. It's going to be, I repeat, on December the 3rd at 8 o'clock Central European Time on this channel. Well, the games will start at 8 o'clock, so somewhere in the evening, the games will be played, and you are going to see the top 16 players who have been playing for these 3 months. So yeah, make your plans for some other night and come to the channel and cheer for the people who you've seen playing for these 3 months.
Also important to mention that they are playing to win the prize. The first place gets
50
euros, which is okay.
Which is nice, yeah. And you can basically check out the rest of the awards on the official ESL website. And thanks again, and we will see you, well, probably in about 2 weeks. I want to just quickly apologize for changing the date. Our finals was supposed to be next week on the 26th, but due to another tournament being organized by Clan Brewer, we decided to change the dates because some of our qualified finalists have qualified for both events. So congratulations on an enormous success. We want to reward that, and for no one to lose the opportunity to play in both events. So we decided to cast our finals on December the 3rd. So yeah, thanks again guys, and yeah, for more info about the tournaments, about what's going on, make sure you leave a follow on channel on our social networks, Facebook, Twitter, where we will announce everything about the
stay
tournament.
In touch, and you are always free to come to stream and ask whatever you want about the tournament. See you guys.
Yeah.